philosophical foundations of the Sadharanikaran model of communication, part 1. That means we will be having a next class as well on philosophical foundations. So, okay, it is prepared for the first session of the immersion course on the Sadharanikaran model of communication. This is the diagram I proposed. Okay, the model is all of you have been exposed. It was constructed in 2003 and further developed over the years, and it is a globally renowned communication model that illustrates the communication process from Hindu or Bharatvarsha perspective. So this model has already passed more than 2 decades to celebrate its achievements in 2 decades. An international seminar on the 2 decades of the Sadharanikaran model of communication was organized on 26 May 2024. Uh, and a PhD cohort seminar on the Sadharanikaran model of communication was organized on 8 May 2025, very recently. So now across the world, around 10 PhD scholars are working on this model from various perspectives. So this immersion course, is offered by the Department of Languages and Mass Communication, School of Arts, Kathmandu University. One important thing I would like to share is before, when it was offered for the first batch, it was offered by the department by getting approval of the office of the dean. But from this Friday onwards, this course has been adopted by the academic council of the university. So now it also will be a credited course, and if someone doing this course will come to join Kathmandu University in relevant programs, then that credit can be transferred. Okay, so now it has become a centrally offered formal short-term course. So this is very good for this group. Uh, then okay, from today we are starting the second batch, the classes for the second batch, and the first batch was from 11 January to 1 February 2025. Earlier it was 8 hours course, but yeah, this time since the academic council wanted to adopt it, we the course shall be at least 1 credit. That means 16 hours. So we have made it accordingly. So this is the outline of the immersion course on the Sadharanikaran model of communication. This course is, as I told you, equivalent to 1 credit hour, total 16-hour classes. The content outline of the course is first, philosophical foundations of the Sadharanikaran model of communication. We will be devoting uh, around 4 hours for this. Then an appraisal of Natya Shastra, because this model is rooted to Natya Shastra and Vakipadiya. So 2 hours for each classic text, a great treatise. So we will be devoting for that. Then critical appraisal of the Sadharanikaran model of communication, and the further development is the Sanchar Yoga theory. So both of them will get 2 hours each. Then the Sadharanikaran model of communication from reorientation perspective, how it is crucial to understand our own culture and how this helps us. So I hope, especially these uh, critical appraisal of the Sadharanikaran model, Sanchar Yoga theory, and the reorientation perspective, it will be very useful for you while doing mediation. Okay, then next is the final one is the Sadharanikaran model of communication, research applications, and future prospects. So various scholars, researchers, like I mentioned, from health background to environmental conflict resolution to tourism to theology, education, science communication, and even cybernetics, people have employed this Sadharanikaran model for different purposes. And so okay, this is the basic outline of the course, and now we are set to move ahead. Now we actually starting the session, the core session on this. First thing is configuration of the philosophical foundations of the Sadharanikaran model of communication. So it is rooted to Hinduism, as the SMC represents the communication process as envisioned in Hinduism. Its philosophical foundations are based on the same. So sometimes it seems obvious, but yeah, it is always good to reiterate that. If someone is doing something and claiming, okay, it represents like Hinduism or Islam or Christianity or Buddhism or Confucianism, then the very first thing to cross examine is whether it actually does. Okay, so here as well, uh, any theory and or model shall qualify the basic indicators of Hinduism in order to consider it a true representative of Hinduism. So that we shall be very, very watchful whether the Sadharanikaran model of communication actually qualifies the basic foundation of Hinduism, basic worldview of Hinduism. If it qualifies that, then okay, it is perfectly fine to call it a communication model that represents Hinduism. Yeah. So understanding the philosophical foundations of the Sadharanikaran model of communication requires an understanding of Hindu philosophy in general and of Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa, particularly under Uttara Mimamsa, which is also called Vedanta. There are different schools, especially the Advaita Vedanta in particular, that shall be discussed. How I have planned the general understanding of Hindu philosophy will be a subject matter for this session, and it is in the second session we will be like going to Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa, and what actually from them is like contributing for the development of this model. And one thing to mention is, though there are so many philosophies, currently the most influencing philosophical schools for Hindu society is this Mimamsa and Vedanta. Mimamsa proper is sometimes called Purva Mimamsa, and the Vedanta is called Uttara Mimamsa. And yeah, Sadharanikan model also draws on them in order to be a truly representative communication model of Hindu society. Okay, so Hinduism in the context of the SNC. So Hinduism, with a vast number of followers, with uh, diversity of culture, rituals, all these things, and it has been defined in various ways. But okay, while constructing the Sadharanikaran model of communication and trying to make it representative of Hindu society or Bharatvarsha society, uh, I also actually thought on what shall be the outline of Hinduism, or the let us say uh, general worldview of Hinduism. So what I have written here, they are mostly taken from the text that you are already provided with, that was published in International Encyclopedia of Communication Theory. And to share with you, that was the very first occasion in which uh, a communication theory from Asia got okay space in International Encyclopedia. So it is Hinduism is characterized by the vast number and diverse approaches of Hindu religious philosophical texts. First thing, then the discourses of different schools of philosophy, the existence of different sects and cults, and the multiplicity of practices among Hindus. So what I have specifically mentioned, first, religious philosophical texts, the textual tradition. I'll be discussing later on. But yeah, Vedas we all know, Okay, from there Hinduism starts. So not only that, okay, then the discourses of different schools of philosophy, not only one, two, six mainstream, but if we come to the contemporary time period, there are hundreds of schools of philosophy. And okay, there is existence of different sects and cults. uh, some interacting with each other, some may be completely different, but yeah, they are there. And the multiplicity of practices among Hindus, I'm from Nepal, if I compare the practices in my family as Hinduism followers, uh, some of the common things may be found in South India, but maybe many new things I'll see there, not only in South here, even in the northern part or middle part, like this. Okay, for your kind information, I have been to Bhopal, and okay, the book provided to you, which is outcome of my postdoctoral research, that was published by Makhanlal Chaturvedi National University of Journalism and Communication, Bhopal. So okay, so when I heard during the introduction, okay, you are from Bhopal, then yeah, it was a kind of proximity for me. Yeah, however, I have traveled to other places as well. So, mm, is there any feedback from your side for this overview of Hinduism? Would anybody like to contribute anything?
Sir, I just had a question.
Yeah, please.
So, why do we have to limit it to Hinduism? I
Mhm.
mean, it's if we, because Hinduism also believes in the universe. I mean, in the continuity of plasma and the connectivity
Yeah.
of all. Why should we limit it only to Hinduism? I mean, my understanding, even the background notes that you have given, I think it fits everything. It's like for
Yeah.
humanity, rather it's for everybody.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Very interestingly, you have pointed out two things. Okay, the route, whenever we go to the route from where we started, for that we have to identify it with Hinduism. Okay, there are some research on communication from Buddhism, some from Confucianism, and okay, there is that Western discursive paradigm. So there is a huge movement called de-Westernization, and later on it went to reorientation. So what was the call there? It was to ground theories in indigenous philosophy. Okay, so from that background it emerged. So when it was started, okay, it was started with some sources that are okay particularly identified with Hinduism. But when there is the process of this research, then generalization, abstraction, and theorization, then the final output, the theory, becomes universal. Okay, it has universal appeal. That is why the term Sadharanikaran and the another term Sarideta, they has become untranslatable, and this model has been translated into several languages, maybe 25 or even more. But in each and every language, they have kept this Sadharanikaran and sorry there the core concept that we will be discussing as untranslatable. So mentioning Hinduism in the beginning to ensure its indigenous identity, that was the call. Otherwise, what was there, uh, though the Western discursive paradigm was dominant, okay, Judeo-Christian worldview was dominant, but they were claiming universalism. One sidedly presumed universality was there. So, to critique that, okay, to critique that, identifying uh, new theories with their indigenous location became pertinent. However, however, since its outlook is universal, when the theorization is completed, then it is not only limited to Hinduism. That is why it is being like applied by people from across the world. So in two layers, I'm telling this thing. Okay, for the like origin, for the beginning, there shall be this accreditation. Okay, this comes from this location. Otherwise, only Western theories based on Judeo-Christian okay worldview, they were ruling. I hope I could like respond.
Also, Professor, what I understand is that
Please.
in the whatever we have been trained in communication, we see somebody talking, somebody listening, there's a message, there's an intention. But from what I understood
Yeah,
from our philosophy is that it's more than that. It's memory, it's
yeah,
experience, it's thought. It's there are so many layers. So when we are trying to
yeah,
understand a communication, it is not just the words or even words, how the proximity in a sentence, that also.
yeah,
So I think
yeah,
that is why this is more interesting and it has a universal appeal also. That's how I understood it.
yeah. So actually, the market, for example, the marketing people, they have extensively used this model in order to know the consumers, not from the like surface, but okay, from their heart, okay, from their mind. So later on we will discuss how Hindu philosophy discusses or mentions four layers of the words. Okay, generally what happens, the mental one and the uttered one, that is discussed. Okay, but here we have four layers of the words. Likewise, in Natya Shastra, there will be extensive discussion on bhavas and rasas, all these things. So what you are saying is yeah, really pertinent, and okay, that will be the discussion topics later on. So why we shall do all these to have this configuration? We are talking about how Hinduism has been defined and how Hinduism approaches human beings and human life. Okay, the term Hindu is used for the nomenclature of the civilization. Sometimes by Hindu we mean uh, some civilization, culture, and religion, as well as philosophy rooted in the Vedas. Okay, earlier even geographical denotation was there. Thus, Hinduism envisions a common stamp of Hindu culture, Hindu civilization, Hindu philosophy, and Hindu religion. Uh, Hinduism should be viewed as the consummation of different Vedic and post-Vedic schools of thought. Okay, so whenever we say Hinduism, though we have been mentioning Vedas time and again, but Hinduism is not only that. Obviously, it is rooted to that, but in due course of time it has embraced so many things. So different Vedic and post Vedic schools of thought have been consummated within Hinduism. And when we see there is we can see from extreme spiritualism to extreme materialism, and as customs, rituals, and traditions that have acted and reacted upon each other, giving rise to a sense of oneness. Two things are there. Okay, there is much diversity and plurality, but that diversity and plurality is not giving rise to disintegration. Okay, but there is a sense of oneness. Why that has happened? Because the different schools of thought and customs, rituals, traditions, even if we say sects and other various branches, they have acted and reacted upon each other for long time period. And so one, like if we take one sect, it has been influenced by others and it has influenced others as well. So this is how there is this action and reaction and influencing each other, and the final outcome, what Hinduism is, may not be exactly described in the books. How it is experienced, how it is lived by, and how in our like day-to-day practices we have been practicing it. All these have impact on this. So that
I
means,
I have a question.
please, please.
So you mentioned that everything Vedic and post-Vedic.
Yeah,
Would you term pre-Vedic also as Hinduism? Because if it is a geographical connotation, is
yeah.
there there is evidence anyways of pre-Vedic people, and
So,
would that also be part of Hinduism?
whenever we like define Hinduism in a like textual context, so the research I conducted is message or artifact oriented. Okay, so it has relied on the classic texts. So maybe there were people even in the pre-Vedic era, and they also have influence on this, and that later on I have mentioned like the Agama tradition. Okay, Vedic tradition is called Nigama tradition, and it is like though it may not be printed at that time, but the it has been expressed through words, some text, some treatise. That is why since Vedas are the first formal texts, I have started from that period. That was the law.
Thank you. Thank you. I understand. Okay.
So the philosophical foundation of Hinduism is based on both Vedic and post-Vedic. Post-Vedic means after the Vedas. Okay. Schools of philosophy. It encompasses insights from the six classical mainstream philosophies: Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, and Vedanta, as well as many latter-day schools of thought. Moreover, Hinduism is also enriched by insights from the philosophy of Charvaka as well as from Buddhism and Jainism. Okay, even though in that article I limited myself to Buddhism and Jainism, but if we go further, even there is influence of like Islam and Christianity, or the Islam in like Indian subcontinent may not be exactly the Islam in in the Gulf, in the Arabia. Okay, so Christianity is found in India may not be just like the Christianity in Europe. So whenever different religions, different communities, different sects, different people following, subscribing to different philosophies live together, there is always this interaction, and living together will influence each other. So this can be seen when we come to contemporary Hinduism. So after having like a sense of Hinduism, what I actually wanted to refer by the term Hinduism, now it is time to discuss the textual tradition, as I mentioned, because the Sadharanikaran model of communication, it is based on classic text. So it is always good to have an appraisal of the textual tradition of the of Vedic, and as I said, post Vedic origin. So when we see the contemporary Hinduism, then we can see three major sources defining it, or influencing it, or shaping it. One is Nigama. It is another name for Veda. So it is Vedic tradition. Another is Agama. Agama is another word for Agama is Tantra. And I have also included Laukika. So Laukika is what is in practice among the people that may not have the actual root in the texts, standard text, or text as well as tradition. Like in Tantra, both are important. There are some well uh, discussed texts, but Tantra is about practices as well, and Laukika may have uh, roots to different sources, we don't know. Okay, so from like abroad as well. So actually, when we want to understand Hinduism in contemporary setting, we shall look after this Nigamic tradition, Agamic tradition, as well as Laukika tradition. So in Nigama tradition, basically three sets of texts are mentioned. One will be termed Vedas, or sometimes in singular as well, Veda. Then we say Vedic texts. In Hindi or Nepali, it will be Vedic Vangmaya, Veda, Vedic Vangmaya, and the third one would be Vedic tradition of texts, Vedic Parampara. So when we say Vedic Vangmaya and we say Vedic Parampara, they they represent a slightly different things. So when we say Vedic tradition of text, it is the widest terminology. It includes so many things. But when we say Vedas only, okay, they will include four Samhitas: Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharvaveda. So can anybody like tell what do we mean by Samhita?
Sahita is a code. What I understand, it's like a code.
Okay, yeah, in legal term, Samhita is a code.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But in the
A
Vedic
collection.
context, what is a Samhita?
It is a collection of verses.
Yes, collection of hymns. Okay, particular type of hymns, recharge, what we say. Okay, so or another word is mantras. So in Vedic context, Samhita is a collection of mantras. Samhita is a collection of mantras like Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pasyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhagajana. If you see this, this is a mantra, or and Samano mantra, Samiti, Samani, like this. Okay, so so particular type of mantras, if they are compiled, they will be called Rig Samhita, or in popular usage, Rig Veda. And another type of will be Eju Samhita or Ejur Veda, like Sama Samhita, that means Sama Veda and Athara Veda. When we say particularly Veda, they are the collection of the mantras. But when we say Vedic texts, Vedic Vangmaya, then it goes further. So it includes obviously Samhita, then it also includes Brahmana texts, Aranyaka texts, and Upanishad texts. So can anybody like make a distinction between Samhita and Brahmana, then yeah, Aranyaka, and then finally Upanishad? Because it is crucial to understand Hinduism.
What I understand about Upanishad, it's the Upsahar. It is the, like whatever is condensed out of the Veds, that is the Upanishad. And I'm not certain about the rest, but that's Upanishad. I know that is the end point of. I mean the what dew is collected after the way. I mean the entire summarization of it all.
So okay, what you are telling is a fact that okay, it is the final outcome of that Vedic like thoughts. Okay, the original Vedic thoughts. Upanishad is the final outcome of that. Okay, so that is why it is put in this order: first Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishad. So what happens according to this Vedic tradition, according to like Hindu belief, Vedas were not created by anyone. Okay, the modern day scholars may have different views on that, but I'm telling the like the orthodox Hindu view. So according to that, the mantras were not created by anyone, but some people like called rishis, or the female counterpart is called rishika. Rishi and rishika, they were devoted to like meditation, spiritual quest in such a way that they could actually see the words. Okay, in day-to-day practice, we can either listen the words, or if it is written, then we can see, or with the braille innovation, okay, words can be touched as well. But okay, the words, not written words, okay, the words in the like para and pasyanti level, that we will discuss later on. So they were seen by the seers, the rishis and rishikas. So and then they express that, maybe out of joy, for instance, they were mantra drashta. That is why there is a famous sutra in Sanskrit, Rishayo mantra drashtaraha. Who are the rishis? Rishis are those who could see the mantras originally. So when they saw certain mantras, then they uttered that. They uttered that. And those mantras were, okay, compiled, and that became Samhita. As I told, the mantras are very brief. The mantras are very brief, and not all people would know what actual meaning of the mantras are. So then those mantras needed like description, and okay, some examples also were needed for that. And the same rishis, then they discussed, they told, okay, it was much later, it was written as well about those mantras. And while doing so, even the geography, even the like contemporary society of that time, rituals, practices, they also were manifested, and such texts were called brahmana. Okay, because they were there are different point of views for that, but the most mainstream view is it was expansion of what they learned from Brahma, okay, Paramatma. Okay, what they did, there is the word sakshatkara. So they explained that. That is why first one was called mantra individually, but the compilation was called Samhita, and explanation of that was called Brahmana. And in due course of time, like there was a kind of institutionalization of this thought process, not actually in the cities or villages, but in the banks of some river, nearby jungles, and in that process they could get chance to go deeper, and not actually like prioritizing the practical aspects, but the spiritual aspects, and such texts were called aranyaka. And when that institutionalization actually got a form, when like gurukulas were formed, and when there was chance to have dialogue between gurus and sishyas, okay, teachers and the disciples. So upanishad actually means upanishad, so sitting nearby and okay, asking questions. So if you see, all the upanishads are in this question answer form. So such texts were called upanishad, and in upanishad, what were actually given in the sutra form, in the mantra, uh, they were further discussed. So they were discussed even in Brahmana and Aranyaka. But at that time, that discussion was from the rishi side, from the like seer side. But here in Upanishad, what happened? There was someone sitting nearby and asking questions. So it was in fact an attempt to satisfy the queries of the like jigyasu. So such these texts are put together. Why? Because more or less the original rishis and rishikas, they were involved in creating these texts. Samhita, they saw while meditating Brahmana, they explained Aranyaka, then they pondered more, okay, they thought on that, and Upanishad they discussed. This is how it went. And these are called Vedic texts, Vaidika Vangmaya. And so after Upanishad, whatever texts will be coming, we will include under post Vedic. I hope I could make it clear. Any queries till now?
So, if I may add something, it's not a query, but it'll
Yeah.
become a query. Because it's just what I heard, and I'm trying to understand how to put what you have said together. So yesterday or day
Yeah,
before,
please.
I was listening to a lecture, and in that, uh, the learned scholar said that first there is just sound, okay,
Yeah.
and when that sound is understood, so because there is, I mean, eventually human beings are mind, and there is vichar meaning there is thought. The sound needed to be put
Yeah.
in thought, because if you're just
Mhm.
hearing sound, if it
Mhm.
is how will you explain that as a thought? So that thought is what became the words. So I mean, I'm just trying to understand. So those words became samahita, because basically their words samahita also means universal, it's for the well-being of all, right? And
Yeah.
that is what possibly what I'm wondering, if that is what mantra is. Then after the mantra, so after it was thought about, the sound was understood by our vichar, the sound was interpreted by our vichar, from our vichar came the word, that this is it.
Yeah.
And then these words now need to be explained, because the word can
Mhm.
have different meaning unless
Yeah.
you put it together as this. It's like in law, we say you can have interpretations, right? So then they say,
Yeah.
all right, here is the interpretation of this mantra. And then, therefore, comes Brahmanas, and then Aranyakas, and finally Upanishads.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
is
So
this,
yeah.
does this
Yes.
fit?
What you have said is largely okay, but one thing shall be added. Okay. Before sound, according to according to Vedic tradition, before sound there was vision.
Oh,
Okay. So before sound, the words were visualized. It was only after visualization they became sound, and only after that, when the rishis or rishikas, they actually did not listen it firstly, because it was not sound at its basic level. It was like vision, we can say. The nearest counterpart would be they saw the words, and when they further meditate, like, okay, then only then they realize that as sound.
So
Only
what
then they
I
thought, and finally they uttered.
so what do I understand that what you mean by, I mean, this is my understanding that when you say they saw, is it meaning that they felt something? You know, the subconscious mind
They
felt something existing, and that existence was, maybe they must have put it together. I mean, that seeing is being aware of something.
So sometimes what you said, that is in that way as well. It is discussed in this Sardarshan. Okay, they say seeing is upalakshan means, okay, like representation of all senses.
Okay.
Okay, so in that way you can say seeing actually meant perceiving something. However, there is another way of interpreting things, that in meditation you can actually saw it. Okay. So, let us make it easier for the time being. They saw the words. Okay. What they saw, then when they further meditated, they listened as well. And then when they listened, then they thought about that. And then they expressed that. Okay. Then they expressed like in joy. And what they expressed, that became mantra. And there were individual rishis, and when the mantras seen by different rishis were put together, they became samhita. And for the sake of easy understanding, okay, it is said that Vyasa divided those in 4 classifications. It was much later. So those were called Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajurveda, and Atharvaveda. And okay, when they were further discussed, like we mentioned, then Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishada came. And when Upanishada came, till that time, the formal communication, formal dialogue, in dyadic situation, in group communication, that was formally established. So after that, okay, when we say basic tradition of texts, in addition to Vedas and basic texts, that means Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, Upanishad, they will be obviously included many other texts, namely Vedangas, Upavedas, Vedic Sutra texts, Upangas, Smriti texts, Purana, Itihasa, and Prakarana texts in numerous disciplines are also included. Okay, now when we say Vedic Parampara, Vedic tradition of texts, it becomes so vast. What are they? I have included in other uh, slides, like Vedanga. When we say Vedanga, then these are 6 disciplines, you can say. What is called Siksha, Kalpa, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Jyotisha, and Chanda. I haven't tried to translate them. Okay. Let us try to at least name them, how they are done in Sanskrit. So first one is Siksha, second one is Kalpa, another is Vyakarana, another is Nirukta, another is Jyotisha, and then Chanda. These are called Vedangas. Upavedas, yeah, Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharva Veda, and Artha Veda. I hope these are known to you. Okay, let's go ahead. Just I'm trying to give the scriptural dimension. Okay, then there are Vedic Sutra texts like Srauta Sutra, Griha Sutra, Dharma Sutra, and Sulva Sutra. All are, yeah, for different purposes that I think yeah, we cannot discuss right now due to time constraint, but I have tried to mention them. Then Upangas. When we say Upangas, actually the 6 schools of philosophy are called Upangas. So Angas were Shiksha, Kalpa, Nirukta, and so on. And Upangas are Samkhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Purva Mimamsa, and Uttara Mimamsa, which is also called Vedanta. Let's go ahead. Then comes Smriti texts like Manusmriti and other Smriti texts. There are so many Smritis, and especially for law, Smriti texts are quite relevant, like Likhit Smriti, Harit Smriti, Parasar Smriti, Vyas Smriti, Vasishta Smriti, so many. Like I have in front of me, okay, Ashtadasa Smriti, like 18 Smritis and Manusmriti different, like 9 Smritis are here. In fact, there are so many. So these are also in Vedic tradition. Let's go ahead. Then comes Puranas. Under Puranas, there are 18 Mahapuranas, 18 Upapuranas, and 18 Aupapuranas. If you go to the names, like some Purana may be put under Mahapurana by some, that will be moved to Upapurana by others. That may happen, but okay, more or less, these categories are there: 18 Mahapuranas, 18 Upapuranas, 18 Aupapuranas, and still there are some texts which also use the term Puranas, but they were not found in ancient time. Okay, that is why I have said latter day local Puranas. Like in Nepal, we have Pasupati Puran, like this. Okay, let's go ahead. Then itihasa. When we say itihasa in Sanskrit literature, then we specifically mention Ramayana and Mahabharata. The subject matter of like Puranas and Ramayana and Mahabharata may have some similarity, but they are completely different texts. When we say itihasa, then okay, Ramayana and Mahabharata. Let's go ahead. Then Prakarana texts. This is very important. Okay. Uh, Thousands of texts in numerous disciplines are available, like in mathematics, in poetics, in dramaturgy, in like Vaishajya, that means medicine in a way. Okay. Many stories, many novels, okay, rupakas, so many things. So all of them will be considered prakarana text. Prakarana means in Sanskrit like some contextual text. That means in modern sense we can say okay, some specific disciplines. Okay, even there are texts for like how to construct stables for the horses, like that. Okay, there are very specific texts, and there are thousands in number even today. And okay, Natya Shastra and Vakyapadiya are also Prakarana texts in the Vedic textual tradition. The actual resources for Sadharanikaran model of communication, we will have different sessions for them later on, but let us try to understand how they are placed in Hinduism. So they also belong to Vedic tradition. They are Prakarana Granthas, means they have their independent existence, and while doing so they will draw things from Vedas, okay, Upanishads, and maybe from Puranas, maybe from Smritis, maybe from Itihasas, Ramayana and Mahabharata, and so on. They may take like Natya Shastra. It does not take anything from Ramayana and Mahabharata, because it is older than these. So that we will discuss later on. And Vakyapadiya, it is considered a text on linguistics by many, but yeah, uh, like Natya Shastra, it is also multidisciplinary text that we will discuss later on. So we can see the textual tradition of Sanskrit, we may say, or Hinduism is so vast, so diverse, and so in this. Okay, any further discussion or anything for this textual tradition? We can devote some time for this.
So when you say prakarana texts,
Yeah.
in my understanding, which comes only from Hindi language, okay, and
Yes.
whatever is the common language that all of us speak in this subcontinent, prakarana, right now the understanding is incidences, right? Prakaran, what is happening, present incidences or Umaji, or what would the word be? Prakaran
Prakaran is a case.
So yes, इस प्रकरण में
इस
ऐसा
प्रकरण,
कहा जा सकता है, मतलब इस केस में.
इस
So
केस में, इस
प्रकरण is
इंसिडेंट में,
yes,
yeah,
प्रकरण may refer to case, incidents, context, or
correct,
phenomenon.
context.
Phenomenon as well.
So the contextual sciences are
Yes.
these sciences like the Natya Shastra or the Vakyapadya
Vakyapadiya.
or even the Nyaya Shastra is a contextual science.
So the Nyaya Sutra would be considered under Upanga, but new text, like if I write some book on Nyaya philosophy these days, that will become a Prakarana Grantha.
Okay, got it.
So
So these
Manusmriti,
are contextual science.
okay, Manusmriti will be the Smriti text, but
Right.
but as a lawyer, if you write a commentary on Manusmriti today, it will be a Prakarana Grantha.
Right, got it.
So not
It's just so rich. It's mind-bogglingly rich because everything has been categorized and categorized and categorized. Like as a lawyer, I feel all right. We have one constitution, and if we have 2,000 commentaries on that, people are still only kind of fighting on it. Or there is categorization and categorization
Okay.
and categorization,
Uh,
and
okay.
it's a rich, rich
Okay.
background.
I would like to just mention some categorization just for the sake of knowing Lokaya Shastra,
Yes,
Vyuha Shastra, Ratha Sutra, Ashwa Sutra, Asti Sutra, Salihvatra, Yantra Sutra, Vanidya Shastra, Gandha Shastra, Krishi Shastra, Pasupalya Shastra, Vriksha Ayurveda, Paksha Shastra, Malla Shastra, Vastu Shastra, Vakavakya, Chitra Sutra, Lipi Shastra, Mana Shastra, Dhatu Shastra, and so on. So all these are Prakarana Granthas. I haven't read all of them because I have list of so many here itself. Okay.
which is all, I mean, even now in today's context, like you said, Lipi Shastra, of course, there is a
Yeah.
scriptural understanding, but I don't know if if scripts have been now scientifically understood and categorized. So imagine
Yeah.
that there is something already done for that time.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then there is
Yes.
something, and you said Gandha Shastra, that means
Mm.
fragrances.
Yes.
Fragrances categorized, separated
How
according
to
to thing. Right now,
how
we
to
are
make
just
different types of scents. Yeah.
wow. So
How to make different types of
it's
scents like this.
amazing
So
what
there
has
are
happened and
so
what is available as
yes. Yes.
knowledge to us.
Yeah.
Yes,
They are still available.
yes, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead.
Thank
Let's go ahead.
I think
So
it is not only categorization, it is also a simplification, let us say, I mean, in a very broad term, a simplification and a manner of understanding what is how it can be applied also. So in a
so
sense, again, they bring
yes.
back this dialogue, they bring back introspection.
Specialization. We can say specialization as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's very
So
Yes,
interesting.
so true.
after having this much of background, now let us go to exploring the Hindu worldview. Okay. So what Hinduism is? It's so vast, but for the sake of easy understanding, we must have something in common. Okay. So exploring the Hindu worldview. So here I have focused on three things specifically. Under these three, you will find so many things. Okay. So first is the concept of patrata and adhikar bheda, which is quite relevant in case of law. For legal regime to find out who the individual is, what are his or her duties and responsibilities, and what he or she can do. All these things are very important. Okay, whether it is pertinent or not. Okay, when it becomes a crime, when one does certain activity, then at what point it becomes a crime. All these things can be understood through these concept of patrata and adhikar bheda, and obviously it is relevant for communication as well. So another is three dimensions and four goals of human life, and another is the continuum approach that I'll be focusing. Let's move ahead, Manusa. So patrata and adhikar bheda. So Hinduism recognizes that different persons have different natures. I'm not saying that Christianity does not do this or Islam does not do this, Buddhism does not do this. They may also do, but we are actually discussing in the context of Hinduism. So it recognizes that different persons have different natures, and these differences and the consequent distinctions of natural aptitudes, Adhikar Veda, have been considered in religious and philosophical as well as social matters. Not only this concept of patrata, each individual is unique, and each unique individual has different Adhikar Veda, different aptitudes, and hence different actions, different like attitudes, all these things. So they have been practiced in social matters as well, not only religious and philosophical matters. Let's go ahead. There is another slide on this. Okay, due to Patrata and Adhikar Veda, there are different sects and cults offering different paths to persons of different nature and qualifications. Why? This is the explanation by Hindu scholars. Why we needed so many sects, so many sampradayas? Because there are people of so many characters, so many needs, so many wants. That is why we need different paths. So consequently, Hinduism has become extensive, rich, pluralistic, as well as complex. Okay, from the law administration view, if there is homogeneity of the society, administering the law will be relatively easier. But when there are multiple layers, various dimensions, then it becomes complex. So in that sense, Hinduism or Hindu society is complex as well. Okay, let's go ahead. However, some basic principles can be generalized to understand the Hindu worldview. Yeah, there is much diversity, complexity, whatever you say, but it is not that they are always disintegrated, just fragmented. No, there is some sort of, okay, oneness. For instance, there is general agreement on the three dimensions and four goals of human life. This is one instance. Okay, what are they? Let's go ahead, and after a while we'll have further discussion on this. Next slide. Three dimensions of life are Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika, and Adhyatmika. Very easily they can be shared: Bhautika, Manasika, and Adhyatmika. Okay, physical, mental, and spiritual. And there is yet another concept: Sthula, Sukshma, and Karana. So based on that, there is concept of three tapas, like sufferings. So Adi uh, tapatraya vinasaya Sri Krishnaya vayam numah. You might have heard this. So why we do salutations to Sri Krishna? Because he actually destroys tapatraya. What are these tapatraya? Tapa are, here the meaning of tapa is something that makes suffering, something that hinders us from getting true knowledge, something that hinders us from going towards moksha, something, tapatra is something that limits our life, our pleasure, our happiness. Okay, it limits us from performing our duties. So all these are called tapas, and they are three. They are three. That is why they are called tapatraya. What are they? Okay. Tapas related to our body, tapas related to our mind, tapas related to salvation of our atman. That is why tapatraya. So, but if we overcome those tapas, and actually we can become able what we can achieve, then it will be called abhyudaya. So tapas and abhyudayas, they are antonyms. Okay. To have abhyudaya, you must overcome the tapas. So if there is physical difficulty, that will be adi bhautik tapa. But if you are with good health, okay, very sound body, then it will be physical abhyudaya. If you have some mental problems or tensions, okay, depression, and so on, it will be mental tapa, adi daivik tapa. But yeah, if you are quite good enough and you can enjoy, you can have rasaswadan of like foods, aswadan of this poetry, literature, yeah, drama, all these things, and you can actually connect with other people. Okay, there is no envy, there is no jealousy, okay, there is love. Then okay, you have adi daivik abhyudaya. Okay, and according to Hinduism, if you are trapped in the cycle of rebirth, okay, and you have to go through all these sufferings, then it will be adhyatmic tapa. And but if you can overcome this, and okay, you realize that I am atma brahma, brahmasmi, like this, you are liberated, then it will be adhyatmic abhyudaya. So they go side by side. Yeah, the negative side is tapas, and okay, the achievements, the attainment is abhyudaya. So this three dimensionality is like actually considered by virtually all of the schools of Hinduism. They may define it in various ways. Okay, they may give you different ways to achieve these abhyudayas, but yeah, virtually all of them, they consider this. And by saying this, obviously included are, okay, the concept of atman, the concept of punarjanma, rebirth, the concept of ishvara, god, parabrahma, paramatma, whatever you say, that is also there. So why Buddhism is like not included in this Sardarsana? Because you might have already known, in case of Buddhism there is no acceptance for Atman, and there is no acceptance for Ishvara, but they also accept the rebirth, Punarjanma is accepted by them. If you go to Jainism, okay, they do not accept the concept of God. They don't think there are gods, God or gods, okay, but they accept the existence of Atman, and they also accept the rebirth. So you can see. So in Hinduism, the Ishvara, Atman, and the rebirth, all three are considered. Okay, they are very rooted to the Vedic thought. But in Jainism, only two of them will be considered, and in Buddhism, only one of them will be considered. That is why they are much emphasis on like this physical aspect only. Then okay, it won't be representing Hinduism. So what does that mean? If there will be any communication model that will be solely limited to physical transmission of the messages, then it may not represent Hinduism as a whole. That is what I am telling. Okay, even if the communication model is talking about like physical and mental aspects, like Freudian model, if you say so, he focuses on the mental aspect also. Yeah, physical is obviously there, but he does not include the concept of atman, all these things. That is why that is not representative of, okay, Hinduism. To be a representative of Hinduism, anything, even law, if a law, legal system that claims to be perfectly like in congruence with Hinduism, then it must have some provision for this spirituality as well. Okay, this is my argument. You may agree or disagree. So, first common stamp of Hinduism is, okay, the life is not one dimensional, the life is not two dimensional, life is actually three dimensional. Okay, this is the first thing all Hindu philosophical schools agree. Okay, let's go to next one, and yeah, later on we will have some discussion. Then another is four goals of life, be it Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Mimamsa, Vedanta, or be it even the very latest one like ISKCON, for example. Okay, so how they have conceptualized all these things. So you will find all of them considering these as goals of human life. Okay, for some, like I remember Donald Trump. Yeah, deal is what he is telling, isn't it? Money, earning, okay, how much, tariff, all these things. So yes, this is one aspect. For some, okay, pleasure, that will be the sole aim of their life. But here actually four goals have been considered: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. And interestingly, dharma dharma is the first goal. Why? Because dharma is some inherent rule. Dharana dharma ityahu. So the natural characteristics, the natural law, what one shall be by nature. So that is called dharma. That is why sometimes we say, okay, dharma, dharma of teachers, dharma of journalists, dharma of politicians, dharma of judges, dharma of lawyers. Even in Hinduism we say dharma of fire and dharma of water, dharma of sun and dharma of moon. So what one actually shall be, okay, that is dharma. So dharma is the very first thing according to Hinduism, even Buddhism and Jainism. Okay, I can tell for sure, for at least these three, dharma is the most basic thing and dharma is the final thing. Okay, if you ask what Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism are actually founded upon, then that is dharma, or Buddhist people may say dhamma as well. Okay, that is the Pali version of dharma. So dharma is the very first thing. So dharma is applicable in physical dimension. Dharma is applicable in mental dimension. Dharma is applicable in spiritual dimension. So sthula susma karana, all of them are guided by dharma. That is why though life is three dimensional, the goals were made four, because to achieve, actually goals are three, if you see, like in this way. But to be prepared to attain these goals, first you needed your dharma. First you needed to like realize or establish yourself to your inherent characteristics. So this is why dharma was put first. And then what is artha? Artha is property of the physical body. Okay, whatever the physical body needs or acquires, or in relation to this is available in the nature, all of them will be considered artha. So sometimes people these days by artha they mean money. Okay, artha mantri is all about, okay, presenting the budget, and okay, talking about the taxes, all these things. But yeah, artha was not only that. Artha originally meant anything which is tangible, anything which is like in congruence with our body. So our clothes, okay, our gadgets, okay, this laptop, okay, this table, this house, and vehicles, anything, okay, goals, even yeah, notes, yeah, money, all of them are artha. What is kama then? Anybody can contribute.
Karma, I think, is desire, desire in the sense of whatever you think you need, you want.
Yes. So one aspect is to say desire, and another aspect is to have that desire fulfilled. So experience is also karma. Okay, so all these pleasures, pains, everything what we feel uh, is karma. But the most obvious has been, since that was considered the highest pleasure, and very crucial for moving the creation ahead. That is why the sexual intercourse was the most referred example of karma. However, karma does not include that only. Like if you have this gadget, this is artha. But if you can connect with your like I call my mother every day, for instance, and the feeling of connectedness that this gadget is giving, that is karma. So artha will be meaningful only when it will give the pertinent karma. Okay, you like you have a bed, like you spend 10 million to buy a bed, very lavish, luxurious, let us say, yeah, one in piece, okay, one piece we say. But if you don't have a good sleep, what is the use of that? No use, isn't it? So okay, if you have, yeah, a very high salary, you draw 2 million, 3 million rupees uh, per month. But okay, if you don't have a healthy body, if you cannot buy to eat anything from that money, even if you can buy, but actually you cannot consume that, okay, the karma aspect is missing. So
Sir,
dharma will
excuse me,
tell.
sir.
Yeah, please.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please.
If that physical facilities
Yeah.
which we cannot use, can we say that is artha for us? There must
Okay.
be the value of that
Still,
physical
still,
facilities, no, sir?
still that is artha, but that is not meaningful, or that is not useful for us. Okay. then that may be anartha for me or you individually.
So, in legal terms, we could say like having a judgment and not being able to execute it would
Yes,
have no meaning. So, the
yes,
execution is the calm. And the artha would be like if you get a judgment in your favor, it has some meaning if the
yes,
karma is there with it.
yes. So like if you put as a judge, you have to write down the like your findings, your conclusion, what you are going to order. You will put signature. Okay,
Mhm.
for 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 the people coming to the court, that will be artha, isn't it? They have got it. But if it cannot be like implemented and that actually does not affect that person, then karma aspect is not there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so the meaning of dharma, artha, kama, they are much broader. Okay, and then so artha is associated to physical world, the sthula, okay, body. Kama is associated with sukshma, mind, for instance, and moksha is the third dimension. Okay, like the body shall get artha, the mind shall get kama. So what the atman shall get? It shall get moksha. So this is the and this is the, according to Hinduism, this is the ultimate like attainment, ultimate goal. So even if you thought you achieved something, but in the long run, if it deprives you or derails you from the path of moksha, then that that artha would actually become anartha for you. So this is how it is analyzed. So how we can draw this insight? If a communication helps you for attainment of artha as defined by your dharma, not Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, by dharma, okay, that natural principle, natural characteristics. So if it is so, if the communication helps you for the attainment of uh, artha, kama, as well as finally moksha, then only that communication will be considered successful. Likewise, you can tell the same thing. If there is some legal mechanism or before law, all of us know there was dandaniti. Okay, first there was rita, then came dharma, then came dandaniti, finally came this law, kanun. So if that is there, if the law is there, it will be considered successful only when it will ensure the people will get, okay, their due artha through rightful measures. Okay, there shall be protection for the last person, and okay, there shall be this coercion for coercive measures to stop the criminals and like this. So the when we say law and order, okay, so it doesn't only refer to physical things. So the mental aspects, the thought process, okay, how people behave with each other, how the even the culture of like supremacy of law, or culture, sometimes we say culture of impunity. So if there is culture of impunity, then okay, the karma is like negatively affected in the legal term, we can say. So moksha will be okay. The Atman and the Paramatman, they will be one, or one will fulfill the duty and get the ultimate like destiny. So if, what is the logic here? If any theory, any model, any mechanism claims to be truly representative of like Hinduism, then it not only shall address Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika, and Adhyatmika dimensions, but it also shall enable the people for the attainment of Dharma, Artha, Kama, as well as Moksha. Next, before we stop for further discussion. Okay, yeah. Go back to the same slide. Yeah, before actually discussing continuum approach, let us have some discussion on these the 3 dimensions and 4 goals of life. Okay, I invite you all for any queries, any feedback, anything you would like to add.
So,
So,
in a,
sorry.
sorry. Yeah, you go ahead, Tan. You go ahead. So, any communication, um, I think there must be something legitimate when you have to have a communication. There
Yeah,
must
yeah,
be something which will not cause harm. Let us say.
yeah.
So then, there must be a desire to communicate it in a way that action. And when all these three are fulfilled, then of course you reach moksha.
Yeah,
But then I was
that will be complete communication. Yeah,
thinking about, yes, sir. Also, when you said about the tapas, I think that is also connected in a way here, because tapas ultimately is sort of burning or
yeah,
coming to a sort of an achievement from the stage where it was. So I think when there is a proper understanding of the karma or identification of artha,
yeah.
even for that, I think uh, once that is done, then we can get to Abhyudaya. That is my understanding.
Sorry, the like the net was maybe, yeah, fluctuating.
Okay, okay. So ultimately, even if there is some goal to be achieved,
Yeah,
it starts from a point where there is maybe not enough clarity or not the proper path. So a person has to move from that to give clarity of the communication or action.
yes.
And only then there can be some progress or a proper achievement of a goal. So I think both of them, this tapas and abhyudaya, are also connected with these 4 goals of life. But then when we talk about moksha, it is not just about the Atman reaching Paramatma or something. It is more about reaching the state where dharma is established. So communication
Yes.
also needs to get to that stage.
So the concept of tapas, okay, they are hindrances. Likewise, in communication, there are noises or barriers. So while communicating, you cannot just focus on the like positive things, that will help for your better communication. But you have also to cope with the negative dimensions as well. Okay, the hindrances as well. So this teaches us. So even when you are working for like mediation or like justice delivery, then you shall like consider both aspects, isn't it? These are the pros, these are the cons, these are the evidences, but these are the things we can still doubt. Okay, and okay, there shall be some benefit of doubt for such and such things. So it is not always the black and white situation. Okay, that is why there is another concept, continuum approach, that I'll be discussing slightly later on. But till now, okay, how communication starts. Okay, one of the question, okay, inherent with your comment was that, is it out of desire? Okay, in many cases, yeah, it happens out of desire. Yeah, by virtue of our like instinct, we want to communicate with each other. This is in human nature. Maybe with other creatures as well, but at least for sure for human beings. Okay, we want to share, we want to inquire whenever we meet someone. Okay, how are you, or what's going on? Things start with this. So desire is one of the driving force for communication. But in Hinduism, there is another dimension as well. Sometimes you may not have desire. You may like really want to stop things, but your duty compels you to do so. Okay, let us take example of Bhishma Pitamaha. Would he like desire to fight against Pandavas? No, he won't desire, but he had to, because okay, the oath he had taken was with the throne of Hastinapur, and at that time, who was, yeah, on the throne? Dhritarashtra had given all his powers to Duryodhana. So being in the side of Duryodhana was his duty in that way. Like in Gita, what happens in the very first chapter? Okay, Arjuna, what Arjuna says? Okay, please bring. Let us move ahead and see who are there like this. And when he sees, okay, all are relatives, and okay, so and then what he said, I want to go for this battle, isn't it? The very first chapter is this. So the desire was okay, battle was the case there. Likewise, we feel in our day-to-day life that sometimes we don't want to be engaged in communication with someone, but we have to. So this shows that okay, we communicate by desire in many cases, but we do communicate out of our like dharma, duty. So this is this is the uniqueness. Okay, when we bring Hinduism to like the discipline of communication, then it will give further insights. Okay, in conventional that western communication model, there will be some sender, okay, who like in conventional setting, like in Aristotelian rhetoric, what will happen? People will be gathered in the city hall, and okay, since they are citizens by their parameters, okay, by now citizens are okay, it has been widened. At that time, like slaves were not citizens, even females were deprived of this citizenship. Only aristocrat males like that, they were citizens. They will be gathered in a hall, but once they were considered citizens, then all of them will have equal right to speak, isn't it? And those who would like exploit these ethos, pathos, and logos and make excellent speech in the city hall, okay, all other will be like impressed. Wow, then they will be persuaded to follow that person, isn't it? That was the setting of Aristotle. That is what he taught. How the art of persuasion. Okay, so the Aristotle's model of communication is all about how to persuade people, isn't it? So, but that may not be the case in all the times. Okay, like in a fax machine, the intention was just to send the signals, okay, exactly the same manner in another machine. Transmission of the signals, transmission of the codes to from one machine to another machine. That was the case. But humans, okay, we are so complex, or so we are so interrelated, and we have bundles of emotions and feelings, all these things, that okay, simply that transfer of message won't work. So here communication will need further deliberation, further thinking, further like understanding, all these things. So when we take things in different contexts, then okay, that will demand approaching communication in different ways. Okay, due to culture, okay, not only physical things. When we go to culture, then obviously the cultural aspects will determine so many things, because it will like in a way condition the perception of the people, isn't it? Sometimes from Nepal, I watch a discussion between like Indians and Pakistanis. Okay, the same thing, how they interpret it becomes a case for me to observe and analyze, isn't it? The incident is same, but okay, how that will be like analyzed, isn't it? So communication is all about uh, knowing all these things. And the western models, okay, maybe they were in the beginning, or maybe they were conditioned by the discursive paradigm they had. They were not including all these aspects. Okay, initially they were heavily focused on how media will be influencing the people, like in Germany, how the Nazi party basically exploited radio for brainwashing the people. If you go to like Italy, how Mussolini and his fascist party, actually he was a socialist earlier, editor of that mouthpiece of socialist party. And okay, how he used newspapers and magazines. Okay, if you see what was the case in then Soviet Union, especially in Russia, they use literature like Maxim Gorky. Many of us have already known Mikhail Solokhov, and yeah, so many others. So they use literature in a way that even the commoners, when they were having a dream, they will see Comrade Lenin and Stalin in their dream. This is how they were brainwashed. Okay, but what happened in the US? In the US, again, they also use media, but basically not for, okay, Noam Chomsky would argue in different way, but basically not for political purpose, but for market purpose. Okay, the Marlboro cigarette or the Barbie doll, okay, phenomenon. What they did by that Marlboro, okay, phenomenon, they conditioned the males must be macho. Okay, I like this. And okay, Barbie girl, by Barbie girl, they wanted to like create a big market of beauty products, all these things, isn't it? So okay, this size will matter. Okay, and the fairness will be considered the okay marker of beauty, all these things. So they also brainwashed, but for the purpose of this consumerism. But we can have at least four examples from four different countries how they were heavily focused on that. If we go to even before, like how the missionaries were working. Okay, what was the modality with them? They will have a book, okay, and they will have a masiha, isn't it? They will have a message, and they will go to certain society. The very first thing they would do is, okay, they will translate Bible into local language, isn't it? Because to make that message accessible or perceivable to common people, then they will okay, in good words we can say they would persuade. Yeah, when we are critical, they would use by hook or by crook, they would convert the people. If you see this approach, so all these five approaches, what was common there? So targeting the audiences and the sender who was in power, he or she or they will be really like powerful, and they can shape others minds, they can change others minds. That was the concept. But very recently, that concept has been shifted. Even there are reception theories, reception approach, okay, reader response theories, all these things. So, and actually such things were like discussed by Bhartrihari 2000 years ago. So sometimes when we see how the modern academia has come to this point, and when we see the same thing already discussed by Bharat Muni or Bhartrihari, then okay, wow, they were doing this. It comes, but if we say just that, then it will be like sometimes narcissistic approach only. Oh, we have very good thing, we did everything. Okay, that won't work. So what we shall do, is that applicable for the time being? Can we have contemporary value of that? Okay, if we can add something what others have already developed, and if we can add something from our side, then it will be really useful. And okay, this was actually an attempt for that. So uh, till now we started with what Hinduism is actually, and there we acknowledge the diversity, multiplicity, plurality, at some common stamp of that. And for that, the concept of patrata and adhikar bheda was very crucial. And then we discussed how these three dimensions of life means, okay, whole thing, our religion, culture, customs, rituals, everything was included under that. Okay, so how we consider this sthula, sukshma, and karana, or adi bhautika, adi daivika, adhyatmika, and based on that, okay, we discussed about our goals. And while doing so, what was emphasized, dharma or dhamma is the central concept. And even for understanding of communication, for understanding of, like yesterday I was conducting a workshop for teachers. Okay, so there I emphasize on what is the dharma of teachers. Okay, what shall be your duty, like this. So what is the dharma of mediators, maybe we can say, in today's context we can say that. Okay, what is the dharma of doctors, what is the dharma of politicians. Okay, so communication is all about knowing who am I, one of the communicating parties, and who are my audiences. Okay, another party in communication. And to know what is the artha requirement, what is the kama requirement, what is the, okay, this moksha requirement of us, and how we can use communication for that purpose. So any communication theory or model, and we are taking just example of communication theory, but even if it is a theory from economics, a theory from psychology or political science, if it claims to represent Hinduism, then it cannot say, okay, I don't consider this atman, I don't consider moksha, I don't go with it. It doesn't matter individually whether we go for it or not. But when we say, if we are actually constructing or developing a communication model or trying to understand the society which follows Hinduism, then even if personally one may be atheist, but to understand the Hindu society, one must understand that these Hindu people, they actually worship the god, they believe in god. Okay, they believe in the existence of atman, they believe in, like, the process of rebirth, this punarjanma, all these things. Okay, they have the very concept of this artha, kama, moksha, all these things. So that is what I am telling. Okay, is there anything? Otherwise, yeah, we'll go to the final section is about this continuum approach. Manusa, can you show this? Yeah, meanwhile, you may add something.
Sai, I just want to add on to this. So basically, the way you have actually structured, it's actually the way of life. This is how we should live our life, and these are the fundamental elements of life. If you understand the fundamental elements of life, you can live the life, including the communication, very well.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's the core concept, and it's really important. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you beautifully said. Okay, social sciences and humanities are all about humans and their lives, isn't it? Okay, including law, political science, communication, whatever. Then the
Also,
final thing for today is one concept I would like to discuss. Then I'll come back to you. Continuum approach. What is a continuum approach? Okay, in Sanskrit it is called satatya. In Hindi, in Nepali, in maybe Bangla, or any, even in Marathi, maybe satatya has the similar meaning. What is it? Okay, and it is not subscribing to the binary opposite view, like this switch of uh, uh, switch of electricity. Okay, it has just two options. Either it can be, okay, on or off. Now on, okay, now off. Life is not like this. Okay, Jainism would tell you sapta bhangi nyaya. So that will consider seven facets of a truth. Okay, and in Hinduism actually there are 11 dimensions of truth. Why? Because there are 11 directions, and in which direction you are, you will perceive the things accordingly. That is why, or truth, or truth, okay, absolutely it is one, but it can be perceived in 11 ways according to Hinduism, and in 7 ways according to Jainism. They have different scheme. So what the continuum approach says, okay, all, even so called opposites are part of the same system and interrelated with each other in a continuum. So here, physical and spiritual, they may not be opposite things. Okay, dharma and science, they are not opposite things. Okay, if you subscribe to binary view like Karl Marx, okay, for him, idealism and materialism, they were completely different things, isn't it? But for like Aruni Uddalak, a rishi from like Chandogya Upanishad. There you will find in Chandogya Upanishad, Aruni Uddalak and Shwetketu, the father and son, they discuss, and they discuss the method of experimentation and observation. Okay. So for them, materialism and idealism, they are not different. They are just diverse. Okay. They are part of the same system. So uh, artha, kama, and moksha, they will not be considered separate or fragmented thing. They will come in a continuum. Okay. Even in Hinduism, the time is a continuum concept. It goes on. It's cyclical, isn't it? It's just for the sake of easy understanding. We divided it into tithis, okay, months, okay, years, and so on. Days, 7 days, saptaha. All these are just for the sake of easy understanding. The time is going, time goes on. Likewise, the creation goes on. Okay. So there is this manifestation, and then destruction, or loyo and sisti. Okay. So all this goes on, and so what is the repercussion of this? So different sects, different segments, different like classes, different castes, different creeds will not be considered as opposites, conflicting parties, but the society will consider them part and parcel of the like diverse system, and there will be conscious effort to integrate, to establish Saridayata among them. So this continuum approach is what actually makes Hinduism, like many people say, Hinduism is so liberal like this. Why they say this? Because since in Hinduism, different things are considered part of the like one ultimate reality. That is why they are like when Ravana was killed in Ramayana, what happens that? You might have noticed. Okay, a light comes from his body, and that is merged into Rama. So this is how we say, okay, even Rama and Ravana, they are same, isn't it? So this is the approach of Hinduism, but that doesn't okay make it confusing, because there is the concept of patrata and adhikar veda. So this adhikar veda and patrata will give you the contextual purport. Okay, the specialization, the general and the special. So in general, all are same, all are part of the okay, same system. That is why there is emphasis on Sarideta. Okay, the term Sarideta we will discuss later on in a greater detail when it comes to the Sadharanikaran model of communication. But I'm trying to okay highlight the Hindu worldview. Okay, it has the continuum approach. So, and this is, I think this is beautifully linked with mediation. Like in like conventional justice delivery, what will happen and why there was need for this mediation? There, one will be victorious, isn't it? Another side would lose something. So the very concept is, if the case is not harming, okay, one party severely, if there is possibility to have a win-win situation, let's find it, isn't it? Isn't it the like crux of the mediation? So treating both sides is part of the whole system, and considering that their conflicts can be mitigated, and there can be mediation, and they can live together, or if not together, at least not disturbing each other. Okay, so this is what comes from this continuum approach. This is why there are so many sampradayas, but okay, we have reconciled, we have learned how to live together. Okay. So continuum approach is, in my view, one of the most important characteristics of Hinduism. Okay, let's go to next. Okay, then with this much background, then these questions are there. How is communication useful for people of different patrata and different adhikar veda? How does communication ensure sahidyata in the society? Is communication a vidya or an avidya? If it is a vidya, then it is good thing. If it is avidya only, okay, vidya obviously incorporates avidya as well. But if it is only avidya, then okay. Especially in Vedanta, you might have heard, if something is limited to avidya only, yeah, it will be denounced. Okay, is communication something to denounce or to embrace? You have already understood. I have embraced it. Okay, Hinduism shall embrace it. Then how is it relevant and useful for three dimensions of life? What is the physical, like, relevance of communication? What is the mental relevance of communication, and how it is relevant for yeah, spiritual life? And then how is it relevant and useful in the attainment of four goals? So artha, like we have to transfer the message. Okay, maybe these days what happens, parents are here, but the son, daughter, they are in other parts. Then you actually need to send some photo or video or some document like that. Okay, so this actual tangible transfer is also there. And okay, then mental aspect is obviously there, and spiritual. So actually learning about the Sadharanikaran model of communication will be thinking about basically these questions and interrelated so many other questions. So I think last slide, Manusa. Okay, we can have
Yes,
little
that's
bit
the
of
last
discussion.
slide. Yeah.
Okay, thank you Manusa, and thank you all. There is one famous saying in Nepali, सुन्नेलाई सुनको माला, भन्नेलाई फुलको माला. What does it mean? Those who listen, they will get the garland of gold. Okay. Those who speak, they will get garland of flowers only. So, so I got the garland of flowers, and yeah, you got the garland of, okay, yeah, it's gold.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was very,
It was so
very
enlightening. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
maybe-
And
So-
for me, totally, it was a different experience to learn Hinduism in a different aspect, especially moksha and all those things was it was a mind-blowing experience for me to understand all this in a different perspective. Thank you so much, sir, for that.
Yeah, it's all there, but I just wanted to present from my perspective. Okay.
Understand.
So one thing that I got out of this, the last part when you were talking, especially about the four goals, I thought when we talk about kama and artha and dharma, those three, I just thought in terms of communication, it is more about attention and awareness. That is kama. Then artha is understanding, and dharma is motivation. So you can even put it the other way around. So ultimately, I think
Today I won't comment on it. Okay. Later on, when we actually go to the communication dimension, and then let us see how it unfolds.
yeah. Thank you, sir.
You
Thank
hold
you.
on with this. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So I think with this, okay, we shall say goodbye for today, and
good night, sir.
see you on Sunday, next Sunday.